Welcome back to the channel Mr. Freemason, and thank you for joining me in another video. If you're new here, we like to discover numerology, astrology, occults, rituals, Freemasonry and hidden knowledge. So if you haven't already, smash subscribe and be part of the community, and let's get into the video. Many conspiracy theorists have come up with the idea of cloning, or duplicates, or robots, or even time travellers. But the existence of cloning has existed to a certain degree, which is not what people think. This is why these people worship the ancient gods and the ancient gods of Egypt, because for thousands and thousands of years they've been bringing the same people back to fulfill roles, agendas, and be put in positions of high power and influence. The elites don't believe in hell, but believe in reincarnation and coming back to fulfill different roles in a different timeline.
What if I told you Hugh wasn't at all who you thought he was? And everything from his name, his place of birth, and even his accent are just a designed character to control your mind. And I'm not talking his Wolverine character. Oh no, I'm talking the character of Hugh Jackman himself. You see, just yesterday I had a follower send me Keith Whitley, and he wanted me to look him up because he thought he might be playing another country singer. But I couldn't help but see the resemblance in a certain Hugh Jackman. A real resemblance. And well, if you don't know who Keith Whitley is, it's okay. I didn't either. But here you go.
Jackie Keith Whitley was a country musician who rose to fame in the 1980s. However, his career was cut short when he died at only 33 years old.
What an interesting number to die at, 33. And you want to see something funny? He was born in Sandy Hook, Kentucky, and they marveled at his songs. Marveled at his songs. Marveled at his songs. And the funny thing about his age that he died at, yesterday it was 33, and then today the internet couldn't decide. Almost like they messed with the algorithm because they knew a video was coming. But let's get back to the main topic at hand here. Yeah, sure, people look alike, Tyler. I'm told that all the time. They look alike. People have doppelgangers. They do. That's true. But usually those doppelgangers don't have exact symmetry in their face across multiple different timelines and pictures and ages. And usually those doppelgangers don't play almost the exact same guitar and have wives that look identical to each other. But Tyler, Hugh was born in Australia, is an Australian accent. How could they ever get rid of that?
Takes in Wolverine where you had to retake a scene because you felt your accent slipped in.
Yeah, the words I-G-H-I. So on the trailer it says, are you on the right side? And it sounds really, I had to redo it because I said right. Right is hard for me. Right.
How do you get rid of that accent? Did you study for years?
I have a dialect coach, and he gives me a sentence that I'll see if I can remember it. How many times have you asked Sam whether or not his daughter has congenital disorders or something like that? And I say that in my head before every day, before every take. And in that sentence is every difference in vowels or consonants or anything.
It's an amazing process to get rid of an accent like that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's tough. In a way, don't you wish you were born in America so that you wouldn't have to deal with that aspect of acting?
Completely. In fact, I did a movie called Australia, and I was like, hallelujah, this is a bizarre.
Use your accent.
Yeah, at one point someone said, mate, that sounded a little bit American. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I do too.
Maybe, just maybe, that dialect coach was to get rid of that Kentucky twang and teach him how to sound Australian, just for interviews.
You're no stranger to the Grand Ole Opry stage or backstage. You performed here before, and you're here a lot of times with your beautiful wife, Lori, so this must be like a second home. It is, and it's really special to me because I grew up, the Opry was so important to me growing up. My mom and dad were big Opry fans, and if we couldn't pick up the Opry on our radio in the house, we would get out and drive around in the car and listen to it, so the Opry's just been and I think this is probably the one place that I still really get nervous when I perform is at the Opry. There's just something about it, so much history and everything here. But even in spite of that, I always, anytime we can do the Opry, we look forward to it. And if I'm off and I'm not working, then I come over with Lori when she's doing it. So I'm kind of getting to be a regular around here.
Yeah, at one point someone said, mate, that sounded a little bit American. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Just to add a little bit more to it, not that I need it, the first video I looked up of him on ShmooTube just happened to be 3 minutes and 33 seconds long. Would you imagine that? And well, I don't even think I need it in this one, but you know what I always come with. Let's just see who they belong to. I bet none of you can guess. Oh, imagine that. Keith Whitley and Hugh Jackman. What a coincidence. What a outright crazy coincidence. Now, what I would like to strongly get across to all of you is that the reason I do this is, one, because they just come to me. It's a gift. But two, if you can see that they are lying about this, well then maybe, just maybe, it will cause you to question everything that you think you believe to be truth. Maybe so much that you even question who and where we are. And ultimately, if you dig deep enough, what I hope you find is that you are a very special person.
Hip-hop jewelry book. Oh, this is tough. I definitely can get inspired. Oh my gosh. Did he was in this motherfucker? What? No, that's Snoop Dogg. That's you.
Michelle and her big bro are talking trans this week on their podcast, and she's all in for they them.
I'm just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a black man. We've sacrificed a lot over this issue. And it's all about realizing that we gotta love people how they come to us, period. Not just our kids, but all kids. And the notion that, we would, put people in unfair advantages, put their lives at risk over some nonsense.
People ask me why their grandparents or great-grandparents never talked about the reset. Why don't they remember anything about it? Well, let me try to explain it. First, there were the Cabbage Patch babies. Now, these weren't just toys, you see. They became a symbol of something much bigger, a massive repopulation effort after the reset. These babies, they weren't born the usual way. They were produced almost mechanically in large numbers and distributed through a cold, efficient system. Strange, isn't it? Brings to mind ideas like cloning, doesn't it? And maybe that's why today you see so many folks who just seem to go with the flow. No questions, no thinking. Did you know they say nearly half the population doesn't even have an internal monologue? Imagine that, living life with a quiet mind, just following along. Those babies, those orphan trains, they were shipped off, along with abandoned children who had survived the reset, taken from their families, sent to faraway lands. Many ended up in America. And when they got there, they were given a new story, the official version of history. No elders left to tell them the truth. nobody to remember how things used to be. It made them easier to control, you see, easier to accept the new narrative.
50s, just after the last reset, there began a massive push to reintroduce technology, culture, and even people to the world. World's fairs had these massive exhibits called live infant incubators. These exhibits were insanely popular, drawing millions of visitors. They even had nurses in uniforms acting like caretakers. The babies weren't premature. They were being artificially gestated. This wasn't just a medical breakthrough. This was unfathomably advanced technology. Artificial wombs, mass baby production. Sounds a whole lot like a new world being repopulated after something big went down. In the 1850s, just after the last reset, there began a massive push to reintroduce technology, culture.
You know, I'm not saying that people can't look similar, but when you're this famous and there's people back in the day who looks exactly like you, it makes you wonder. Look, I know people seen this. It literally looks just like him. Great ancestor? That one's a stretch, right? How about your boy Johnny Depp? Oh, what are you doing over there, Justin? Is that your great-great-great-grandpa? Anybody know who that is? It's just crazy how similar these people look. It's also crazy how this guy had power back in his day, and he has power in this day, and they look exactly alike. And not too many people look like that. You're gonna call it Photoshop, right? This one trips me up. You know who that is? Because I know you know who that is. For you. What do you guys think? That's the same freaking person. I bet you there's even more instances than what I could find. Too similar. Yeah, I agree. People can look similar to each other, but this stuff is just freaky.
This is Brittany Murphy, and this is Ariana Grande. And let me start this video off by saying they're not clones. You see, if Brittany Murphy can go from looking like this to looking like this, and Ariana Grande can go from looking like this to this, is it really that far-fetched to think that Brittany Murphy can go from looking like this to this? Supposedly Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande, Brittany Murphy. Ariana Grande, Brittany Murphy. Now, technically, that is supposed to be Brittany Murphy, and the rest of these are Ariana Grande. But what I am telling you is that these are all Brittany Murphy. But how could anyone go from looking like that to looking like this? Well, she supposedly went from looking like that to looking like this. And this is an actual real person that went from looking like that, who wanted to look more Asian, and now he looks like that. That's a real person. You can go look it up. So what I'm saying is their capabilities of cosmetic procedures are beyond your wildest dreams. So going from this to that isn't that big of a deal, because you already believe that she went from that to that, because those are supposedly both Ariana Grande. And if she could go from that to that, then like I said, that to that isn't that hard. But you know, I don't like to speculate. A lot of you guys think I'm reaching and that I just do these for entertainment. No, I am providing you actual evidence that this goes on. And if you don't believe me, well, let's first start listening to how they sound.
Weeks ago, it's gotten a great response from people, which has been awesome. But And everyone had been asked after the screening if they had ever snooped, and 83% of all women said they did.
Because it's kind of about like bringing light to a situation or to someone's life, or somebody else who brings light to your life, or sweetening the situation.
Now let's take a look without sound and just watch how they move and how they take a breath between their words and how their mannerisms and hand gestures go. And you can think I'm crazy all you want, but the truth is this is happening, and if you don't think it is, it's just because you're not quite awake enough yet. But as always, I come packing heat. In fact, I'm double fisting on this one. These two right there, check them out, and let's just continue on across to the other side and see what we see. And I'll point them out as I circle them for you. But they're clear as day, guys, clear as day. Let's see, right there, and right there. Of course, we're gonna find some more because, like I said, I'm double fisting today. There, and I circle here, but I actually think it's up there a little bit more, to be honest. Because when you look, once you're pulled out, you guys, it's the same person. It's time to wake up and see that they do this. Look, when you mesh, the symmetry's there perfectly. Why do they do this? They do this to control your mind. They do this to cause trauma-based mind control. They do this to confuse you so you don't know left from right and up from down and round from flat for a lot of you, and you're confused, and a confused person needs help, and they ask the authorities for help, and then the authorities tell them what they do, and they listen because they're confused and they're afraid and they're scared, so they say, help me, and then they listen. And also, if you have one person playing three people and they're the deceivers, deceiving people, well, you need a much smaller group of people to be the deceivers. Hollywood is not what you think. They're not actors, they're agents. They're literally mind control agents, and they sign contracts. They know they're gonna do this ahead of time, or I should say, they know they're gonna do this ahead of time. It's happening all over the place. If you don't believe my videos, it's because you're not awake enough. I don't do this for views. I do this to wake you up. I do this because I didn't realize this for 42 years. And for some reason, I've been given a gift to see right through this, and I'm just trying to help people. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. You know I'm doing it for the clicks and the likes and the views and the money, because that's all I care about. I'm here to make all the money. I don't really care about helping humanity raise up to a higher level of consciousness and know that they've been lied to for centuries, so we can take our power back and take our land back and fully take ownership of who we are and who we're supposed to be. All for entertainment purposes.
But the resemblance between Jimi Hendrix and the actor Morgan Freeman is undeniable. From the marks underneath the eyes and also the freckles, most of which Morgan Freeman has already had removed. But the likeness is undeniable between these two. The fact that Morgan Freeman started his TV career in 1970, the same year that Jimi Hendrix passed away, and Morgan Freeman started that career in 1970, aged 33.
I'm Vincent, the vegetable vampire. In the night time when tomatoes start to scream, it's only Vincent, the vegetable vampire, sleeping in the garden of your dream. Vitamins, I get my women bigger, and vegetables have vitamins, that's right. So Vincent, the vegetable vampire, comes creeping in your garden at night. If I feel flush, I squash it and drink the juice right in. If I see a cucumber, deep asleep in slumber,
Many will say this is absurd and just completely bonkers, but when you match up the partners of Morgan Freeman and Jimi Hendrix, she's the same woman. When it comes to cloning and clone slicing, many people will think that a clone is made many times in just one instance, but in fact it's actually spread out over a period of time. This means that one could be released only for 10 to 20 years to pass for the next one to be released. This kind of ensures within the fraternity that should one fail, the other one won't. This is why you will notice many will be called agents, shills or plants. The resemblance of the American-US rapper Wiz Khalifa and his resemblance to Jimi Hendrix, as well as Morgan Freeman, is even more scarier. This picture here taken at a festival with Wiz Khalifa wearing headgear, sunglasses and a hat almost kinda looks Jimi Hendrix. So just in case anyone thinks about calling the men in white coats for me, just hold that thought, because the next mind-blowing fact will sweep you off your feet. The fact that Wiz Khalifa, Morgan Freeman and Jimi Hendrix all have something more in common that you would never know. Jimi Hendrix had a reputation as being a left-handed guitar player. It just so happens that Morgan Freeman is also left-handed, and Wiz Khalifa, although doesn't state he's left-handed, says he can do things with his left hand, although most of us can. So is he trying to indicate and signal secretly that he's also left-handed? It was while making this video that I even spotted one myself. This was Amy Winehouse and Lady Gaga, and even the birthmarks all match up, or even the Statue of Liberty face that looks like Elvis Presley.
Vaccines should be made available to those most in need. His death was announced,
We were told that Pope Francis passed away recently, yet a BBC news reporter slipped up. This was 3 years ago, announcing the passing of the Pope. So if this was the case, who was the man standing in? Because from his face, and also the scars on his face, he matches identical to that of the Church of Satan founder, Aleister Crowley.
Have you ever heard of baby incubators? Well, I've made a few videos on this in the past. Baby incubators were creating clone babies to repopulate all of the Tartarian cities that they found as they explored west. Now, I'm saying this knowing for a fact it's a contentious issue. People have real mindsets on what actually happened back then. But this is one story, one way that I believe it could have happened. And knowing the world the way that we know it now, is it really so far-fetched to believe that something like this could have happened? That babies were grown in incubators to repopulate cities, to provide free labor for the factories, to provide free labor to work the farms. We saw all of these baby incubators as sideshow exhibits in places like Coney Island, and of course all of the world fairs that we had across the country and across the world. They were created in labs, as you can see here, and then from here they were put into incubators where they were nurtured until they grew of age. And I believe that they were set free once they got to a certain age, and that's what formed these mass increase of orphans that are scattered all across places like New York City, that they gathered and they shipped out in orphan trains. But here were the first Cabbage Patch Kids. You could literally get babies like you were picking up groceries, and you'd bring them home and they'd work for you. They'd do whatever you told them to do because you bought them. Regardless of your intentions for these poor children, anybody could get one. Do what they wanted to. Raise them right, raise them wrong, make them yours, put them to work. This is what they were for, and this is where a lot of our ancestry comes from. These created orphans, these created babies, these clones. I am a Tartarianist. I believe that as we settled and started traveling across America, we found city after city after city, which was just abandoned and left to ruin. We created babies to repopulate those cities, dig them out from underneath the mud. The more you dig and the more questions you ask, the farther you'll see how much the wizard has been hiding from the people of Oz.
Notice when he is told that they come back time and time again to learn from different lessons. This in numerology astrology equates to the numbers 1 to 9 and the life path lessons. These numbers then go on to the master numbers of 11, 22 and 33, the highest number of enlightenment. So every life path number has to be fulfilled first.
I'm glad to show you what the afterlife is really like.
Good afternoon, and
What would be? What would be? Where am I? Is this heaven?
No, it isn't heaven.
Is it hell?
No, it isn't hell either. Actually, there is no hell.
Well, what do? You just keep going back until you get it right?
Well, you don't keep going back. Eventually, they'll throw you away.
Thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe in reincarnation or not? Smash the like button and share the video, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream.